Welcome to Coffee with Joy. I'm your favorite host, Joy, with Coffee with Joy talk show and podcast. I'm so excited to have my guest Simone as we talk about marketing and branding. Every individual needs it, whether you're an entrepreneur, influencer, content creator, or so forth. How are you putting your brand in the forefront? How are you making yourself visible? Well, today I have my guest who's an expert in all this, who's going to share how did she get started? Where do an individual needs to land? Why colors matter, why your logo matter, and so forth. Of course, there's so much that she can talk about, but we're going to try to make sure we tackle the great, important information that you need, and probably me too, that we all need in order to drive our business. So after these messages, we're going to talk to my guest, Simone. Coffee with Joy. Got a story, a business, or an idea you'd love to share over a good cup of coffee? I want to meet you. Come be my guest on the show. We celebrate voices big and small. And welcome back to Coffee with Joy. I'm going to bring my guest on, Simone. Hey, Simone, how are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Joy.
Yes. So before we get right in, can you tell people a little bit about yourself, Simone? And then we're going to jump right into our conversation.
Mm-hmm. Hello, my name is Simone Hunter. I am the owner of Brand Creative Agency based here in the DMV. So I help entrepreneurs and business owners elevate their online presence, whether that be through social media, branding, and then focusing in on social media strategy, brand strategy through brand development, website design, and content marketing. So I service a bunch of different entrepreneurs in a few different industries, really just all around branding, marketing, and making sure that everything aligns and comes together how they intended to be.
Wow. So, of course, I know your job is not easy. It's definitely not for the faint at heart. So how did you get into this? What made you want to start, branding and helping others putting their business on the forefront?
Yeah, so I started off on the PR side, working in the Children's Hospital here in DC. And while PR was what I thought originally I wanted to go towards, I definitely had a shift because it was just hard trying to narrow down reporters that would care about what people were doing. So I slowly kind of shifted over to social media and branding, and then decided, oh, I want to do this on a smaller scale, of course, but for my people. And so it was really around the time where, everybody, I've been around entrepreneurs all my life, but I started seeing more entrepreneurs pop up. And this was right before the pandemic. And so how I really got started is like, I knew I already had that itch for social media and branding because I was working my 9 to 5. I said, okay, what can we pull from here and make into my own? And so I started a business. My first business was called Branded by Simone. And it's so funny. It's like during that time, people were always tying businesses to their name. And so over time, I definitely came to On Brand Creative Agency. But what got me started was really wanting to fill a void that I saw in my community. I felt like Black-owned businesses, we would present that we had this grand idea, but then I would go to a website or Instagram channel or some type of social or website, and things weren't adding up. And whether it would be the branding or the message or the language that they were using, I'm like, how can we make this better as a whole? So that's really what got me started. And that's really what's carrying me through this whole journey. Working with different entrepreneurs, learning people's vision, getting to connect with so many dope people like you. And so it's just been a joy being in that space and be able to work with people who look like me in this capacity.
Wow, that's amazing because, a lot of people don't think they need that, right? A lot of people think they just go ahead and they just plaster things on their page or, on their website, and they really don't understand the uniformity, right? And how it really speaks who you are in your brand. Now, I know you deal with many different heads, and some people's like, hey, I don't want this, I don't want that. How do you manage those who are very conform and don't want to change, even though you see the light for them to really burst and really make their business a forefront? How do you handle those individuals?
Yeah, so one thing about me, I love a good consultation call. And so on those consultation calls is where I can kind of pick up on that vibe if you're a little bit more apprehensive. And I'm one of those people that are pretty straightforward. So I'm always telling people like, hey, Do you want to be the voice and the person in front of your business, or is it going to be somebody else? Because in this time that we live in, visibility is so important. So you have to choose who that's going to be, or how you're going to show up, or how you're going to present. And I do get people who give pushback, but I think when you start talking about vision and where you want to take your goals, and really diving into all of the things that you need to make work, it's really an ecosystem that you have to build. I like to call it a brand ecosystem that
Right.
you have to build to really get your product out there. And then I always tell people, like, listen, those commercials that you know by heart, those jingles that are stuck in your head, the reason that you know that is because they're playing all the time. It's always visible. It's something that you hear repetitively. So you can't be scared or apprehensive about doing these little steps. Like, you have to get in front of people, start talking to people, start being visible so people can remember you. And so I just drive that point. And like I said, most of the people who are coming to me, they know that they need a change. And
Yes.
a lot of people just need that person, which is that brand strategist or that creative strategist behind them to say, hey, let's go in this direction. And I'll hold your hand through it, but you got to
Yeah.
be willing to do it.
Wow. Because, I know a lot of people, once they feel as though, and again, I don't want to put a time to the length, because it's not to say, hey, you 3 years an entrepreneur, you got this. Because some people be doing
Right.
it for 20 years and they feel as though
Yeah.
they do it right. And really, I won't say it's a right and wrong thing, but really can max it and really make it better, right? The innovation
Mhm.
is there. And a lot of people, as they say, the older you get, the stubborn you get. So the longer you're in your business, you feel the complexity, like, okay, this is just what I want to do. This is what I like. But when someone who has that eye, that expertise to come in and really drive it, it really give them, I will hope they will stand back and say, okay, wow, they're coming from a different viewpoint. Now, in your space, do you see there's a difference, or is there a difference between branding and marketing, or they both coincide with one another?
I definitely think you can't have one without the other, or
Mhm.
you shouldn't have one without the other. So the thing is, with branding, it's all about feeling, and it's about feeling, it's about visuals, how people feel when they see those visuals. It's about language. It's about making people feel a part of whatever you're doing. Now, the thing with marketing is how you're putting that stuff out there. When you get into marketing, I feel like you get into ads, you get into all of these analytics, and that can come with branding. But I think marketing is this whole different thing. Along with marketing, it's like teamed with like sales. And I feel like a lot of people will say, hey, I need this branding, but you also need the marketing piece. So they can come together and people can actually see you. They can actually buy what you're selling or what you're servicing. It's really about the conversion. So I think you need both
Mhm.
together to push you towards your end goal.
Wow. Yeah, and I totally agree, because definitely with me with the branding, right?
Hmm.
And it was a point that you said prior to, where you want to make sure that everything is together. I know as I want to change. I was like, no, it's starting to look boring to me. And
Hmm.
one of my friends was like, no, it looks nice, just keep it there. And of course they did not elaborate. It was more like God was telling me, like, you have it, everything is there. So, and it's like an epiphany came to me, where many people haven't seen it. Just because you're seeing it every day or
Yeah.
someone else seen it, they have not seen that. And it's the cohesiveness, the consistency. Because of course, when I'm reaching out to guests, or trying to get new guests to come on, when someone look at my page or website or so forth, it's bringing like comfort, knowing that of course I'm not a bot. This is an individual. She's serious about her craft. She's really a podcaster and things of that nature. So I started to look from that lens, right? Because I have this the picture, the song, this format,
Hmm.
the colors, and really trying to speak, because, I'm glad that I have you on, because it's really to emphasize, like, okay, you're doing something right. Because sometimes I can get in my own head and I'm like, well, this is look boring. Like, I'm always
Yeah.
playing around. And of course, now that I'm into AI and I'm really trying to generate various things and, how to drive the market and the branding. And sometimes it's like, oh, okay, God, where's the innovation? And
Yeah.
really, then that little light comes in where someone says, wow, who does your branding? Who does your picture? And I'm like, really? Like, wow. So it's like a little nugget right there, a little push. So how do you get individuals to look at colors? Or really open up or branch out of their favorite color. Because, you know, of
Yeah.
course, color speaks to people in different ways. So how do you get that individual to branding their business with a color that speaks where they probably don't understand the whole color palette and so forth?
And just like you said, color speaks to you, right? And so when I'm doing like logo and brand identity projects, I always ask people like, what colors do you want to stay away from? What colors really pull you in? And I have them kind of give me some examples because you never really know what people are thinking. So I'm
Right.
like, go ahead and get on Pinterest, like do your looking and then send it to me. And so once I do that, I can kind of get a feel for, okay, this is the vibe you're trying to go for. And I always like to present people with options, right? So
Mhm.
because I've had this happen so many times. People will say, "Oh, I want this," but then once you present them with a few different options that make you feel something different, they're like, I never really thought about that together." Or they'll give me like one color, and then for brand identity, I always suggest about at least three colors. And
Right.
so it's like, okay, 3 to 5, you have your primary colors and then your secondary colors that you may use throughout your branding website. So be it. And so it's always like making them bring the feeling out. Whatever they want
Mhm.
their audience to feel, I try to make them feel. And
Right.
so I really think that happens through, okay, these are the colors that you want to work within, and then providing some options. When those options come into play, it's always like, ooh, like I said, I never thought about it like that. Ooh, I like this, but let's take this and add it to this. And so I just think it really gets people thinking. I think that people really don't know what they want until they can see it, until they can
Yeah.
experience it themselves. And so I think that while you may have a grand idea, working with someone to narrow that vision in, and even if you are a little apprehensive, seeing your vision come to life on paper is a completely different thing than envisioning in your head. And so I think once you put things on paper, once you see it come to life, once you can envision how far it can go, it
Mhm.
really gives you a whole different perspective. And usually that apprehension goes away. And it just opens up like creativity in some people, right? Like sometimes, and that's what I love, like seeing
Yeah.
that creativity unlock in somebody and they start lighting up about what they do and how they want to see this roll out. And so I think it's really just about, like I said, presenting people with options,
Mhm.
igniting that feeling in somebody, and make them get that pre-experience to what can be for their own brand.
And I can testify to a little bit to that because when I was doing like the color palette, of course, let it be known, purple's my favorite color. I automatically ran purple. I ain't gonna hold you. I
I love
automatically
purple. It's such a bold color though,
it
too.
is.
But it fits you, right? And that's the feeling. I feel like you're such a bold, big personality, and it's like, come on now, coffee with joy.
Yes.
Like, we ready.
I ran to it, right? And so, and again, this whole internet thing, when they hears you, you're like, oh yeah, I'm talking about shoes. How did you get on my internet? And I just saw you on social media. But I was
Mhm.
like really diving into colors. And I was like, man, I could have did this, that. It was so the color palette. I was just sitting at all like, but of course, I felt like I was too far off land, nowhere, don't see land yet. So I was like, you know what? I love my purple. We're going to stick with it. But I started to understand like the color, the texture, the reason why behind certain colors. Now, what are your thoughts on people rebranding? You know, just coming back like, wow, I just want to rebrand. I really want a facelift. What are your thoughts on that?
I love a good rebrand. I love a good rebrand because I feel like things are always evolving. And, as we go through seasons in life, your business goes through seasons too. So I think that a rebrand is always something that could be on the table, just because you may see your business going in a different direction, or you just may want a different feeling. Whatever that is, I think it's fine. I just think that when you do the rebrand, make the rebrand well and good so that you're not thinking a month or two from now, I really don't like this. Oh, maybe that wasn't the right choice. So I just think whatever you do with the rebrand, be confident in that. I
Right.
think it's okay for things to change. I just think it needs to make sense. And so I think that sometimes people do quick changes and it's no strategy behind the change.
Mm,
And so, I mean, that happens with my clients all the time. It's like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this. Like, hold on now. What you
right.
want to do is fine, but let's reel it back. Let's make sure that it all makes sense. Let's see how we can do this a little bit more strategically. And I think the same thing comes with a rebrand. I talk to people who want to rebrand all the time, and it's really like, okay, Now, what are the goals and outcomes that you want from this different look? How do you want people to feel when they see this different look? And so I think once all of that is out on the table, you figure out where your vision is going. I think it's fine. But I think the main piece is be strategic about your rebrand. Change
Right.
is good, but make sure that change is number one, a real upgrade. A real upgrade. I want it to be distinct because sometimes people just want to change stuff just to change stuff. No, if we're gonna change it, make it be significant, make it be memorable, and make it be good.
And see, just so you talk about change, just change it just to change it, right? It's what, and then granted, there may not be an answer, but of course, you're the expert. What, how long should a person wait? Or not to say they have to do it, but how long
Hmm.
should a person wait to rebrand? Because some people get in the pot and they just want to make a U-turn after 3 months, and you're like, whoa, you didn't even give it a chance. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
they just jump in. So, what is your idea length if a person wants to rebrand? And again, there's probably not an answer to it, but you're
yeah,
the expert. You went through plethora of people who've seen it. So, of course, I trust your ability with the answer.
yeah. I mean, I think if you have a good brand from the start, I think that give it at least 8 months to a year, so you can really like roll it out, see the return. Now, if it's something where you start off bad and you know you start off bad, because let's see, people do this all the time. Oh, we're going to Canva. I'm gonna create myself a Canva logo. Now you know you went into it creating that Canva logo, and you know you need to change that eventually, right? And so it's like, okay, if you go into it like, okay, I'm just getting this to start, and then you know a rebrand is going to come soon and near, fine. But if you get your logo and branding done right from the jump, give it a minute to marinate. Allow your brand to be visible. Allow people to react to it. You're going to be throwing different tactics at the wall to see what sticks anyway. So you at that point you're building awareness. And so you don't want to change and rebrand too quickly because now you're confusing people too quickly, right? And so that's what I'm saying. If you're doing it right from the jump and you feel comfortable about that logo, about that brand that you have built already, run with it for a while. So like
Yeah.
I said, it's all about the visibility. When you first come out, when you first launch something, all of the things that you do are bringing your brand awareness. And
Yeah.
so if you cut that awareness short and now you're switching up, it's like, now people don't have time to remember. And it's like, I thought I saw this brand, but then she switched it and now I don't know what she actually does. So you don't want to confuse people too quickly. So I would say give it at least 8 months to a year if your logo and your branding is done right from the jump. Now, if you start
Right.
off shaky, you already know that within 3 months things needs to change if you're serious. But do things right from the jump and you'll be okay.
Right, right. And I try to tell my friends that, before you do anything, plan. And I think people don't understand I use the analogy like you just don't get pregnant and all of a sudden the baby's here tomorrow. No, it's a
Hmm.
9 months period. God allowed that process to happen for 9 months. So you have to work and without showing yourself up. C does this work. Ask around, ask questions. You may have to play around before showing out. But I think
Hmm.
sometimes we get so excited. And of course, I have to add myself in there too. We get so excited and we just want to just sprout and not knowing that you should have baked a little bit more, and now you have to
Yeah.
come back to damage control when really
And I would
now.
say
Mhm.
ask questions to people who are your potential audience. Not your grandma, not your mama, because they're going to tell you, oh, that looks good, baby. Like, I love it. No.
Yeah.
Ask the question to people who know business, who know the business that you're trying to get into, and who understand your audience. Because that's going to be the real reaction.
Mhm.
Mama, auntie, they're going to like it.
Right.
But you want people to tell you the real and
No.
tell you, like, listen, I don't know if this is that professional. I don't know if that is going to get you the reaction that you want. I don't know if this is going to convert. I don't know if the logo makes sense. Like, you want real feedback.
Yeah. Wow. So that's great to know. So you all heard it. Of course, after these messages, we're going to continue to talk to my guest Simone. There's so much more, so much to unpack, but please make sure that you reach out to her. If we're not able to get to all the information here, I know that she's a wealth of knowledge where she's able to share. So after these messages, we're going to continue to talk to my guest Simone about branding and why it's important for you and I. Joy, host of Coffee with Joy. Got a story, a business, or an idea you'd love to share over a good cup of coffee? I want to meet you. Come be my guest on the show. We celebrate voices big and small. Welcome back to Coffee with Joy. I'm so excited. I'm bringing my guest back on, Simone. So again, thank you so much, Simone, because that was such a great segue into the next piece where, you know, you started this business, and where do you see yourself going further in your business right now? As where you are, where do you see yourself like in the next 2-3 years as you continue to help individuals with their branding?
Yeah, so I definitely see myself growing and expanding. I'm already in the process of hiring some help. I've been operating as a solopreneur for the past 6 years. And so I am looking to expand also in a way to serve more people. You can only do so much as one person. So I literally just brought in a brand strategist. I'm really looking forward to expanding with her, and also some contractors to do some help on the social media side. So I'm excited about expansion. I'm also looking to build out a content studio soon. And so I am putting that together. Yes, a little content studio. Listen, that's like my dream. Like I have this whole vision for it. And so I am working on that. And hopefully in the next, 2 years, we can say, oh, y'all got the exclusive, okay? That this is what is coming. And so
Yes.
looking forward to that. So everything that I'm doing now is really building the foundation for that.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to bring that to life.
And you said something about social media, right? We know that, of course, many people are the funds are low. I'm not saying they can't afford it, right? Funds are just allocate differently. And sometimes it can't allocate in the place that we really want it to and be able to be on the forefront. What is something that an individual, if they're on social media, how should they present themselves? With the branding, with you getting yourself together and making sure, hey, you're the expert, and individuals say, okay, I don't have much, but what should I do today or in the next 30 days that I can at least know that I could have traffic come through for my particular business?
Yeah, I mean, I would say get comfortable with, and I know people don't want to hear this, but get comfortable with talking to the camera. I think that you have your phone. That's the easiest thing you can do. You have your phone, set that phone up, and get comfortable talking to the camera. Right now, when it comes to branding and marketing, things are moving so quickly.
Yeah.
But what is rising to the forefront is the interest piece. People want to know more about you. They want to know more about your story. They want connection. And so I think that right now, the easiest way to do that is through talking head videos. And so once you get comfortable with what you're saying, then you can add in all the special effects and graphics and things like that. But it's really about the message.
Yeah.
I think that if you can learn to storytell whatever your brand story is in a unique way, I think that is super valuable right now.
Yeah.
Everything is storytelling. And so if you can say that story and captivate somebody and get people to listen to you, that is gold right now. And that costs you nothing. So pick up that phone, set it up, and get to talking.
Wow. Because, a lot of people, like you said, that's just staring at yourself and just talking. Of course, we're great at it, so it doesn't hinder us. But many people, they do. Just as you was talking, in my head, I know a few people's like, how are you able to do that? How are you just able to sit there and just talk and just have like a full-blown conversation? But like you stated, it just takes practice, and really not allowing fear to have resonance.
Yeah, not allowing fear. I mean, if people are real with themselves, we talk to ourselves all the time. Throughout the day, you're just not sitting with yourself silent. You talk to
Yeah.
yourself all the time. But when we set up that camera, and even I do it, I set up the camera, all of a sudden I'm blabbermouth. I don't know what's going on. You saw at the beginning of this interview, I'm like, what
Yes.
do I do? Who do I serve? Like, what's going on? And so I'm like, you gotta center yourself. But why I tell people to start, once you start, you'll become easier at it. You won't get the ick every time you pick up that phone and start talking to yourself. So
Yeah.
if you just start, and I'm not even saying you have to post it.
Yeah.
Just start talking, and then put your phone up when you're washing your dishes. Put your phone up, start talking to your camera, because now you're developing skills on how to go live. You know, that's what people want to see, you in your element, but also learning how to talk to people. So, I think if people just start, you'll get more comfortable. I mean, like I said, I do it too. I set up the phone, I set up my camera, and I'm like, it takes me a while to
Mhm.
get comfortable in what I'm gonna say. But as I do it, it gets easier. I
Yeah.
just this was a couple of weeks ago. I had a short amount of time and I knew I needed to shoot a piece of content. And I'm like, all right. Also, my camera was dying. So I'm like, I got to get this done. I set that camera up and I did it in one take. I never do that. I
Right.
never do that. But it's because I had been practicing a few days before and I'm like, all right, come on, we got this. So
Yeah.
that it works, y'all. Just try.
Wow. And and that is so true, just get up and talk. And because I even ask people, do I have a teleprompter? No, I don't have a teleprompter. Everything is literally off my head. Of course, once I do the research, it sticks. But I love what I do. I enjoy it. It's like soon as I leave work, I'm like in tune, boom. I'm ready to go. And making sure that I show up for me because that's part of the branding, right? Making sure, hey, I pay for the studio lights, I pay for the tripods, whatever item I need. And it's not to say I have to break the bank, but knowing that I'm pouring into that's part of the branding, right? And I think people is just not only just showing up, but you showing up for yourself, knowing that when you look back, you're excited and happy for what you're producing and how you could get better. Because only way for you to do it is to jump in, right? Get in and really feel the temperature of the water, like, okay, this feels good. This feels you have to just start. That's just my whole logo. Just start. Once
Yeah.
you start, you realize, oh wow, okay, I could probably skip, I could hop, I could jump, but no matter what movement is there, you're starting and you're not allowing yourself to look at someone else, seeing how far, because you're on the preface where they're on chapter 16. But that's allowing God to drive you, and you're not saying, "Oh, what was me?" That's part of getting in, and really, because I'm not gonna say you're not gonna have those moments, but you're going to have to fight them and continue to keep going because at the end of the day, we all have an end goal, but we have to go back to fight for that goal and really say, okay, this is what I want to look like. This is where I need help in. And don't be afraid to outsource. We have expertise right here. Don't be afraid to outsource. And I think that's what a lot of people try to take it upon themselves and they don't go out and they don't have that conversation with an expert to really say, okay, how does this look? Because as much as you sitting at the table, I can't see behind me. As much as I know what's on the table, I don't know what's behind me. And somebody may say, "Hey, have you tried that chair that's behind you to bring to the forefront or so forth?" You just never know. So I think people lose that as well. So get in there and just do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Yep. And you said
So
something. You said something, Joy, that you're going to sit there comparing yourself. You
yeah,
may have the vision, somebody else may have the vision, but what separates it is the people who start and the people who just sit there. So
yeah,
you can't get mad when so and so is over there and they're doing all the things, and you're like, "Oh, I had that idea. Oh, I thought of that first." But did you move on it? And
yeah,
if you don't move on it, somebody else will.
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, as much as what Brandon, I never want to tell people is to have that mindset to say that it's saturated, you're already in
Mhm.
defeat.
Mhm.
Never have that mindset, oh, it's overly saturated.
It's room for you.
I
It's
mean,
room for you.
if
And
God
that's
gives
and,
you a
and people
vision,
really have to believe that, because
yeah,
those are the people that break through. Like,
yeah,
I always tell people, look, when you go to the beauty supply store, it's a store full of the same products, the exact same products in different fonts. But you still pick up your favorite.
yeah,
And that's the thing. It can be so many people out here that do all amazing things that you do. Number one, nobody's going to do it like you.
yeah.
And two, you're going to attract the audience that's meant for you. And those are the people that are going to stick for you. You're not going to be meant for everybody, but you are meant for somebody. And you just have to find your tribe.
Wow. So, Simone, how can someone find you, notify you if they're looking to get help with their brand, and how to really present themselves to the forefront?
Yeah, so my website is on brand, theagency.com. If you visit the website, the first thing that you'll see will be an intro and a button to book a consultation call. That is the first step. If you're looking for brand development, website design, content marketing, go ahead, schedule a consultation call. I would love to speak with you. That's the first step. They're free calls. We spend about 15 to 30 minutes on the call to really look into your vision. And then, of course, you can follow me on social media, Simone D Hunter, and then you can follow onbrand.creative on Instagram.
Awesome. So I know you, like the many other people, myself, have so much where our hands are in. But what keeps Simone going? Running her business, her 9 to 5 to 5 to 9, and still keep going. What keeps Simone going through the hustle and bustle of life?
Honestly, it's really just that grit. Of course, God pushing me every day, having faith over fear. I have that tattooed on my forearm.
Yes.
But faith over fear. But really making sure that I'm in touch with myself, in touch with my process. Like I said, my faith. Pushing me through all of that matters. Everything is a mindset, and I try to do everything I can to pour into me. I'm very much an energy person. I don't even like weird shows that like give me bad vibes. I'm like, I can't watch that. I can't be
Yeah.
inviting that into my life. So, it's different things that I just make sure I keep my environment right. I keep the right people around me. I stay grounded. And that's really what pushes me through. I am not one of those like Debbie Downers. I'm
Yeah.
definitely a go after life type of person, a live life type of person. So I think that really it comes from my mindset in doing all the things that I need to pour into myself because I am constantly serving others. And so I think that when you're a business owner, you have to do that.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. So again, thank you so much for Simone for being on Coffee with Joy. So ever grateful. And please make sure if you would love to be a guest on Coffee with Joy, please make sure that you follow our website or you could DM us. We always looking for great guests because there's a story. We want to hear your story, normalizing a difficult conversation that many people do not want to have. So if you love to patronize our company, please make sure that you follow our QR codes that's located right here on the screen for any amount that will help with our organization. And as always, if it's a weekday or weekend, it is Coffee with Joy. Until then, you all live life on purpose and see you all soon.